Hello, welcome back. Today we're going to talk about micronutrients for athletes. These are our learning goals for this section. We're going to learn why micronutrients are essential for athletes. We're going to look at why the requirements for some micronutrients are greater in athletes than in regular sedentary folks. We're going to take a look at which groups of athletes are at risk for inadequate micronutrient intakes. And we're going to look at the scientific basis for evidence for the requirements of athletes and vitamins and minerals. We're going to look at vitamin and mineral supplements. And we're going to see the effects of deficiency in vitamins and minerals and how that leads to ill, sick athletes or athletes that underperform. So why do we need vitamins and minerals? Vitamins and minerals are needed in the body for a number of important processes. They're essential for growth and repair, which is something that we need to do after hard workouts. Vitamins in particular are cofactors for metabolic reactions, for burning carbohydrates and fats. Minerals like iron are essential for oxygen transport and for metabolism. We need a number of different vitamins and minerals for immune system function, and antioxidants are protective and help us recover after extensive exercise. We're going to talk about two different ideas. We're going to talk about insufficiency of vitamins and minerals. When vitamins and minerals are insufficient, this will lead to underperformance. And if there's a frank deficiency in a vitamin or mineral, this will lead to illness. Many athletes are marginal for micronutrient intakes. For example, vegetarian athletes may be lower for intakes of riboflavin or niacin or vitamin B12, zinc and sodium. But they may have higher intakes of folate and vitamin C and copper compared to non-vegetarians. Essentially, what this means is that your nutritional choices can influence your micronutrient intake. So we want to take a closer look at those choices, those nutrient choices that you make every day as you select your diet. The USDA recommends that we consume 14 essential vitamins and 15 essential minerals. That is a tremendous amount to keep track of, so I don't recommend keeping a track of each and every vitamin and mineral on a daily basis. That's just too much for anyone to cope with. But there are some foods that are high in particular vitamins and minerals that are essential for athletes to focus on. And we'll talk about those as we go through this section. In terms of supplements, vitamin and mineral supplementation may improve the nutritional status of some athletes, particularly those who are consuming marginal amounts of micronutrients. That would be athletes who have very poor dietary choices. So in that circumstance, supplementation may improve performance in athletes with deficiencies or insufficiencies or inadequacies. However, there's really no convincing evidence that taking supplements, particularly taking higher doses than the recommended dietary allowances, will improve performance. So probably the best way to get your micronutrients is from eating a good diet. By eating a good diet full of micronutrients, full of vitamins and minerals, you're going to eat the healthiest diet, and that is the diet that's going to improve your performance the most. Taking a supplement is a band-aid and not something that I would recommend. Now, there are two types of vitamins that we're going to focus on. We're going to talk about water-soluble vitamins. These are the B group vitamins and vitamin C. We're going to talk about fat-soluble vitamins. That's vitamins A, D, E, and K. Each of these groups of vitamins have different effects in the athlete, and I'm going to talk about them. In terms of the frequency that you need to dose with these vitamins, B group vitamins and vitamin C Things that you need to take over the course of perhaps 1 to 3 days. You would like to be getting doses of all your B group vitamins and vitamin C over perhaps 1 to 3 days. On the other hand, the fat-soluble vitamins you can take less frequently because they are stored in your fat tissues. And so you probably need to collect your fat-soluble vitamins over the course of weeks or even months. It takes much longer to deplete your fat-soluble vitamins and much shorter time to deplete your water-soluble vitamins. We're going to focus our first attention on the B group vitamins. B group vitamins are essential for athletes to burn the macronutrients, fats, and carbohydrates. This is because B group vitamins act as coenzymes in metabolic processes. And these coenzymes release the energy from carbohydrates and fats. So this is, as you can imagine, a really essential part of a function for athletes. The first vitamin we'll talk about is vitamin B1. It's also called thiamine. It is found in these kinds of foods here, like asparagus and acorn squash and beans and peas, soy products, salmon and pork chops. It's a really essential vitamin to help your metabolism. The recommended dietary allowance is 1.1 to 1.2 milligrams per day. Typically, we see deficiency in alcoholics, although inadequacy can occur in athletes, and it will result in reduced carbohydrate metabolism and decreased performance. So it's essential to get plenty of vitamin B1 thiamine. Riboflavin is vitamin B2. Here are some excellent sources of riboflavin. You see nuts are good sources and mushrooms are good sources. Like salmon and pork chops again are a good source, soy products. So you can see some of the similarities between this and vitamin B1. Vitamin B2 riboflavin, again, is a coenzyme involved in energy metabolism. Loss of inadequacy results in loss of carbohydrate metabolism and decreased exercise performance. Vitamin B3 is called niacin. Here are some foods that niacin is high in, things like peanuts, mushrooms, chicken, tuna. It's again a coenzyme required for metabolism. And deficiency is kind of rare, but it can be seen typically in alcoholics, but not typically in athletes. Vitamin B5 is pantothenic acid. It is a coenzyme involved in metabolism in the citric acid cycle, which provides most of your energy for exercise. It is widespread in food, so deficiency or inadequacy is exceptionally rare. Vitamin B6, pyridoxine, is found in foods like nuts, walnuts and almonds and salmon, some lean meats and beans, poultry and eggs. Vitamin B6 comes in a number of different forms. You don't need to know about those different forms, but it is involved in glycogenolysis, which is the release of glucose from muscle and liver glycogen. And you want that process to be going as fast as possible if you're an athlete. So it's essential to get plenty of vitamin B6 in your diet. Adults require between 1.3 and 1.7 milligrams per day. And mild deficiency will result in a metabolic disease-like symptoms and loss of energy metabolism and loss of exercise performance. So this is an essential B group vitamin for athletes. Vitamin B7 biotin can be found again in nuts, things like carrots and sweet potatoes and onions and cauliflower. It is another factor, coenzyme, that's involved in the tricarboxylic acid cycle. It's also involved in gluconeogenesis, which is synthesis of synthesis of glucose, and in fatty acid synthesis. It's also involved in breakdown of fatty acids and amino acids. athletes lacking biotin will show a loss of exercise performance. You can sometimes see a lack of biotin in brittle fingernails and sort of white streaky marks in your fingernails. So if you suspect that you have biotin inadequacy, it might be a good time to hit some of those biotin-containing foods. Folate, vitamin B9, is another essential B group vitamin for athletes. It's found in things like asparagus and beets, cauliflower, broccoli, leafy greens, avocado, bell peppers, and beans. It is essential for DNA synthesis. It is essential for red blood cell growth. What that means for an athlete is it's essential for oxygen delivery. Athletes suffering from folate deficiency, particularly with iron inadequacy, it can result in anemia, which is a loss of red blood cells, and decreased exercise performance. So again, folate is another essential B group vitamin for athletes. Vitamin B12 is found in most meat products, meat, fish, eggs, chicken, things of that nature. It can be difficult to find vitamin B12 in vegan foods. So the United Kingdom Vegan Society recommends using fortified foods such as soy products, nutritional yeast, anything that is fortified with the vitamin B12 if you are vegan or indeed vegetarian. Vitamin B12 folate is required for DNA synthesis in the same way as folate is. Recommended dietary allowance is 2.4 micrograms per day. And again, loss or lack inadequate vitamin B12 will result in lethargy and loss in exercise performance. Now, this is something that I have seen personally in vegan athletes. Loss of exercise performance through inadequate vitamin B12. Deficiency can cause this damage and lack in exercise performance. It's something to keep an eye on, particularly for vegan and vegetarian athletes, but also in older athletes. Older athletes, particularly those 60 years in age and older, the gastrointestinal tract ages, and as it does so, the ability to absorb vitamin B12 can decline. So it is important for older athletes, masters athletes, as well as vegan and vegetarian athletes, to be particularly careful about vitamin B12.